Hi, my name is Yesenia and my partner is Maritza. We'll be talking about narrative therapy. The founders for narrative therapy is David Epstein, Michael White. Michael White began working at Adelaide Children's Hospital as a psychiatrist social worker. Michael White and his colleague and friend David Epstein developed the narrative therapy based on the view that people are separate from their problems. Michael White, according to him, individuals construct the meaning of life and interpretive stories, which are then treated as the truth. Because of the power of the dominant discourses, which is often work against the life opportunity of the individual. The narrative therapy definition is narrative therapy is a strength-based approach that emphasizes collaboration between the client and the therapist to help clients view themselves as empowered and living the way they want. The therapists do not judge the clients. So, key concepts: focus of narrative therapy. During this approach, they involved in adapting, shift, and focus from most traditional theories. During this approach, the therapist encouraged to establish a collaborative approach with a special interest in listening respectfully to the client's stories. Clients always want the therapist or professional to listen to them so they can understand and help the client without feeling that they are being judged by the worker. A theoretical underpinning of narrative therapy is the notion that problems are manufactured in social, cultural, and political contexts. We live our lives by telling people our stories. We tell people about ourselves, and they tell us about themselves. Our stories shape reality in that they construct and constitute what we see, do, and feel. Change occurs by exploring how language is used to create and maintain problems. During therapy, clients have vivid stories to recount. Whenever the story is being changed, the person and the therapist are also being changed. Workers are required to listen to clients with no judgments or blame, affirming and valuing them. Some more key concepts. Social constructionist theorists emphasize listening to the clients without any judgment or blame. Narrative practice goes further in deconstructing the systems of normalizing judgment that are found in medical, psychological, and educational discourse. Normalizing judgment is any kind of judgment that locates a person on a normal curve and is used to access intelligence, mental health care, or normal behavior. Narrative therapists help clients modify their painful beliefs, values, and interpretations as clients create meaning and new responsibilities from stories that they share. Some more key concepts. Narrative therapists strive to listen to the problem-centered story of the client. Therapists stay alert for details that give evidence of the client's competence in taking stance against oppressive problems. During narrative conversation, attention is given to avoiding totalizing language, which reduces the complexity of the individual by assigning an all-embracing single description of the essence of the person. Therapists began to separate the person from the problem in their mind as they listen and respond. The narrative perspective focuses on the capacity of humans for creative and imaginative thought, which is often found in the resistance to dominant discourse. Narrative practitioners do not assume that they know more about the lives of the clients than clients do. Some therapy goals the narrative therapy has is a general goal of narrative therapy is to embody, to describe their experience in a new and fresh language. This new language enables clients to develop new meanings for problematic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Narrative therapy almost always includes an awareness of the most impact of various aspects of dominant culture on human life. Narrative practitioners seek to enlarge the perspective and facilitate the discovery or creation of new options that are unique to the people they see. And my partner will keep going with the narrative therapy.
Hi, my name is Maritza, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how the therapy is applied. Okay, so this therapy can be applied to individuals or couples and families. It allows individuals to make a negative communication into a more accepting one. So, for example, like a family might be having some type of trouble, so it allows them to really make those troubles and turn them into a positive thing. Or for someone that sees themselves in in a judging way, it allows them to turn it into a positive one. Um, it can take place in a small setting, an individual setting, or a large group setting. So the small group setting will be, for example, like a couple that is going into therapy or some type of thing. Individual will be just a single person with a therapist. A large group of setting, I will say it's either a big family or is a group of different people coming for therapy. It helps with many different disorders like anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, or other types of disorders like that. The therapy allows them to develop self-compassion that enables them to feel more capable of changing and developing instead of feeling like their mistakes are defining who they are. This therapy allows them to grow from those mistakes. So it is the collaboration between the therapist and the client to identify what the problem is and to kind of fight that problem for the well-being of the person. So they separate the problem from the person and they look into the problem as its own separate part. And they investigate how the problem is affecting the person's life. And then I guess some of the questions will be, or some of the aspects into it will be kind of how they want to see their problem develop and what they would do to solve this problem. And then there's a lot of critical questions that are asked in order to get to that point of solving the problem or figuring out what the problem is. Some of the major strengths of this therapy. I would say it enables the people to employ their talents or the strengths or inner skills that they didn't know they had, but once they started telling their narrative, they're able to figure out, well, I am good at this, or I am able to do this, but I never knew I could because I never really looked into it. People are able to grow from their problems and look for growing opportunities because, like I said, they were so stuck in the negative part of the problem that never really looked at, oh, I'm so good at this that I have the ability to do something. They develop better ways of communication, which is one of the major strengths, I will say. Self-awareness is also really important because they really get to know who they are as a person, what they like, what they don't like. They learn how to take personal responsibility. Since they are breaking down the problem, they can look into what the problem is and they're like, oh, well, I did do something wrong and I am able to fix it. I could do this to fix it. They break down problems, which is critical, I think, because they look into the problem and they look at what caused the problem, what continued the problem, and they look at how they can end the problem. So I think those are some of the major strengths that are really important for this therapy. Some of the major shortcomings of this therapy. So it is ineffective for people with intellectual disabilities. So if a person is not able to communicate or has some type of intellectual disability, they wouldn't be able to participate in this therapy because they wouldn't have a way to explaining their feelings or their emotions or really looking back at their story and be able to communicate with the therapist. This therapy is more philosophy based, so it doesn't have like a set of components or rules or like a formula, like a specific formula that the therapist can look at and follow during the therapy. So it's more the therapist has to be able to communicate and really know the philosophy of the therapy so that they can really perform and help the client. So also one of the last ones will be that the client might not know what direction they want their life to go to. So if they don't know where they want to take their life, they're not going to know how to fix their problems. They're not going to know they're not going to gain anything from this therapy, because before that they will have to take some type of therapy that allows them to develop and know where they want to go in life, or just really time to grow as a person and understand where they want to go in life before they can start taking this therapy. Okay, some of the significant contributions of this therapy. Clients become self-aware. They are able to tell their story, and they can learn from it. As they tell their story, they might realize that they were doing something to either harm others or harm themselves, but this therapy allows them to really look into it and grow and understand those things. The person or the client, they gain interpersonal communication skills that allows them to empower themselves. Like it allows them to keep growing as a person, or keep growing in a professional way, or other things. Like it allows them to have better communication skills, which is important because they need those skills in life. Okay, some of the significant limitations. Like I said before, this therapy is philosophy based, so that's really the practitioner has to be really good at it, or really understand the philosophy of the therapy in order to perform his job. Also, it depends. The therapy depends on the therapist's attitudes or perspectives, which sometimes can be a negative for the client because of course they don't have the same views in life. So that could be a downer right there. So I would say with this one is that the characteristics of the therapist and the client are way different, so they might have different views in life. And with that being said, like, it will be hard for the client to see himself or herself from the therapist's shoes because they don't see life the same way. So that could really affect the way that this therapy impacts them. Okay, and I'm going to give an example of how a therapist would use this theory in practice. And I made a little scenario here. Okay, so I put the scenario is I have a woman who suffers from diabetes. She has 3 children, and she also refuses to take her medicine. She refuses to eat healthy or to exercise, which are the primary principles of the person who has diabetes. Like, these are important factors for them to have a healthy life. Okay, so before I would ask open-ended questions, which are really important for this therapy because it allows the client to open up and really talk about their narrative. My role in this therapy will be to make her feel comfortable, and so that this woman can tell her narrative and grow from it, to really understand that her actions are maybe affecting her life or her children. So it is important for me to make her see that, and for her to understand that it's affecting her. Okay, so before I would give her, before asking the question or after asking the questions, I would give her time to process what my questions were, and give her time for her to think of good answers and really give me a lot of details. So that will be the process of her telling me her narrative. My questions will be, I guess, related to how she feels physically, or where she wants her future to go to. So one of the questions will be how long she's been without medication, and how her health has been since she's been off of the medication. Does she feel like her not taking her medication affects her children, or does it affect her as a mother? Is she able to perform her role as a mother, or does she feel tired and sick all the time? Why did she choose to stop taking her medications, or not exercise, or eat healthy? Because there must be a reason for her to make this decision. and my goal, it will be to understand why, like what is her reason. Does she think that her not following the doctor's recommendation is a good choice for her health? Because she might think it's a good decision, but then she might also not know it's a good decision, so she might not know. So my goal is to really make her understand it. I will ask her to tell me a little bit about her journey, and behind her journey, there might be some reasons for her choices, or she might tell me why she's making those decisions, or maybe something else completely different that could help her understand her journey. And I guess depending from all of her answers, it really just depends on what the answers of the client, because from there we'll be really able to know how the therapy is gonna run, what her questions, what her responses are. Is kind of what's gonna lead the session, and it is what's going to make me ask certain different questions. I might ask totally different questions than what I asked here. Okay, and that is it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation.